Hey, good people. Hey. Oh my gosh. Hey, it's been weeks since I talked to you guys last. And instead of jumping into Nephi and reading more of the Testament of Jesus Christ, the Middle Testament, right? I will just go ahead and just catch up because it's been weeks. And we will do this over some pot stickers. We're going to have a little mukbang. And I want to tell you like a story time. Can we do that? We're going to go ahead and do the first time, the story time of, excuse me, when I first came in contact with, this is rude. Give me a second. When I first came in contact with extraterrestrials, my very first time, and this is going to be a little bit different because it's not like unconscious contact. This is conscious contact with extraterrestrials, me knowing a little bit after the fact that they were extraterrestrials, not really like fully aware of what was going on in the moment, but aware of their extraterrestrial capabilities and not exactly who they were, but what they were because of what they showed me and what they were able to do. I knew shortly after the type of contact that it was and throughout the journey. So I will be talking to you guys about this. It's very exciting. Like I said, we are going to get back into our study mode, but as of right now, we're going to do just a little fun story time since it's been so long. So, with the extraterrestrials, so this was maybe like 6 years ago, right? 6 years ago. And maybe before I jump into the actual contact tale, right? I will tell you a little bit about what, just review what we've been talking about over the last few weeks. Remember when I discussed the concept of the whale swallowing the solar system, right? Swallowing the solar system and actually moving through space time at a very rapid rate. When last time I talked to you, I said we were going to be perching comfortably in the 10th dimension. And so that's changed a lot of things in consideration of space time. What I didn't tell you is that we were actually still rolling and we were still moving. So we are in a space time that has been unprecedented. It's unknown to most of us now. Some of us are existing and living in these higher dimensions, as well as we are also existing in the other dimensions because it's taking us time to kind of acclimate, if we will. It's kind of hard to explain. I don't know if I can explain that part, but it's like our consciousness. We exist in these other dimensions and we are actually living in multiple dimensions all at once. And we are, yeah, I'm not going to go into it because it's too much for me to explain. But the concept of the whale, right? When I started to talk about this concept of the whale, right? Everybody is assuming maybe I'm the whale. I'm the whale, which is actually a very dangerous thing. So, what we had to do is kind of make everybody the whale at some point, men and women. So, if you feel like you need to eat a lot, if you feel like you need to nourish yourself, I know we did a call to fasting several weeks ago. The fasting was very important. And for some people, today, fasting is still important. But if you feel like hungry, you need to eat some food, this is okay, right? This is okay. This is what we're talking about here. Maybe some of you actually may be with child and may be pregnant, so that's another thing. Making one person the whale is a dangerous thing, especially if we're talking about end times, because the person who's talking about the end times, they're going to be a target, right? They're going to be a target. I am a target, so it's dangerous for me to be, speaking about this and such. So everybody has a chance to actually be the body and the temple, if you will. Okay, and this is again talking about biblical conception. We study the text because it gives us the tools and it gives us the secrets that we need to move forward. So again, when God says you're a temple of God, that's what that is. And I'm sorry, this is protocol. So if I happen to be interrupted, it's okay. We will continue on the story time. Um, so the first encounter was, like I said, 6 years ago. And these individuals came to me at one of the lower points of my life. This was a time where I was actually traveling from LA to New York. and I was in the LA International Airport. And I was going through a very, very troubling time. I could not find anyone to help or support me to get home from where I was to LA to New York. Anyone that could provide me a flight or something, I could not find. I did not have a cell phone. So, again, this is 6 years ago. So, imagine not having a cell phone. I couldn't call anybody. I had to walk up to people within the airport and say, "Hey, I don't have a phone. Can I use your phone to call my husband?" And this happened many, many times throughout the day. There's points where I got exhausted and I actually had fallen asleep on the bench at the airport. Before that, or kind of in the midst of me trying to rest, two police came up to me, right? Two policemen. They just wanted, to make sure I was okay, and I appreciated that. And then they moved on. Okay. And I was able to stay there and rest. I actually ended up even spending the night in the like baggage. No, it was like the departures section, the departures arena of LAX. I actually had to spend the night there and sleep under the escalator. Okay, this was again a very low point of my life. I had to sleep under the escalator. I had no phone, no way of contacting anybody for help. Anybody that would see me would, try to be sympathetic, but they didn't know what was going on. So it was hard for them. So it's no blame again on anybody. This is my own undoing, if you will. So at that point, next day, after I had fallen asleep there, I was resting on the bench again, just waiting for somebody to be gracious enough to grant me their phone so I can call my husband and check on the status of the flights. So we were working very hard. He was working very hard to get the ticket because, as you may know, LA to New York is not the cheapest ticket last minute, right? So he was working very hard to get that done, and he did eventually. But before he did, two gentlemen came up to me, and, I was a little wary of them because I actually saw them in my peripheral the day before. The day before I had slept there. And they were actually walking just through the airport without any luggage. And so that for me is always a red flag because when I see people like that, I'm thinking human trafficking, right? I'm thinking the worst. I'm placing the red flags up and the caution sign up. I'm very, very scared. So I actually noticed them the day before. But no, these gentlemen actually came to me a second time. And it's hard to describe how they were. One was very tall and one was just a little bit the tall gentleman was younger. He was more youthful, right? Long hair. And then the shorter gentleman was a bit older, right? Yeah, he was an older gentleman. He was a bit older, and just like an older gentleman, right? And so as I got a closer look at these two gentlemen, I didn't really perceive a threat. They actually just came to talk to me and see if I was okay and if I needed help, and I certainly did. So like immediately I was kind of just like, like, yeah, like I do need help. And they saw that I had my bags with me, so they actually took my bags and we started to walk. And again, I was just in such a dark place. In any situation, I would tell my daughters, right, not never to trust a stranger. But this situation, I had nobody that I can go to, nobody that I can trust. Nobody that was willing to help me around me in the community. So this was my resort, right? This was my resort. So we walked. They didn't have a car. We walked from the station outside the bus station. This was actually later in the evening. This was much later. We walked until we got out of the airport arena and went to a restaurant, right? We went to a restaurant and they were hungry and they ordered me food. They were very, very gracious in that, but I couldn't eat. For some reason, I couldn't eat. I was very on edge. I was very, very tense, right? I was very tense, very emotional, very emotional. I couldn't eat. I couldn't do a thing. So from there, we walked. And I had this overwhelming sensation as we were walking that I had to get ready for something. Like I had to get ready. I knew I had to take my backpack off of my back, take out my toothbrush, and start brushing my teeth. Just randomly, I had this conception that that was what we were doing. And then they did the same thing. They started kind of preparing themselves. And we walked. This is in the middle of the night, right? We walk. There's like a skyway bridge. We walk, and I had this overwhelming sensation, this overwhelming knowing that we were about to get picked up by something. right? A spaceship, something kind of like, just I had this knowing and this sense that that was happening. But after we had prepared, nothing happened, right? Nothing happened at all. We just actually continued on our journey. And I was a little bit let down in that sense. I felt let down. I felt kind of like forgotten about for a second. And again, how I'm aware of this and how I'm knowing all this, right? I'm just, assuming I'm going crazy at this point. So at this point, I will be taking a pot sticker. Mm-hmm. And so I'm assuming I'm going crazy. I very well think I'm going crazy. But we still had more to do on our journey. So what did we do? As the dawn is arising, right? As the dawn is arising, we actually get on a bus, and we were in a line, or excuse me, we weren't in the line. There was a bus, and there were a line of employees, right? Workers getting ready for work to go on the bus, right? Latin American employees, working people that were getting up early at like 6, 7 a.m. to catch this bus to go to work. There was this giant line. And for some reason, me and the taller individual, we just looked at the line like this, looked at them like this, and just cut in front of the line and went in the front of the line to board the bus ahead of everybody. But when we did that, we actually sat on the back of the bus, in the back of the bus. And we sat in the back of the bus, and this overwhelming sensation again came to me, this overwhelming sensation that felt like I was like a ocean creature, right? It was weird because outside in the line, I kind of felt like a predator, like a lion, right? I felt very fierce and aggressive, like very big lions. And then as I get on the bus and sit in the back, I felt like an ocean creature, like a salmon, right? Something like, smaller and not as fierce, right? I felt like a object of prey instead of, or excuse me, prey instead of the one preying, the predator. Such a strange phenomenon. So I'm sitting in the bus and I'm having this vision, right? It's a vision that I'm having, that I'm imagining I'm in like an ocean. So what do we end up doing? That whole day, we just rode buses all day. And I don't understand how we just decided we were going to get on this bus and this bus and this bus and this bus and this bus. And we were just riding them all day, just sitting and doing nothing. At one point, guess what, who I saw? I saw the face of Allah. And I know it's the face of Allah because I knew Allah. And I had the revelation of that being Allah shortly before this. Somehow, again, I didn't put two and two together just yet, but I knew that person and who it was. So I saw the face of Allah, and who was it on? It was on an African American trans woman, maybe trans, something, just kind of like a demasculated woman or demasculated man. I don't know how to describe it, but it was Allah's face, and I knew that that was Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And like I said, like he can appear in many ways. He can appear great and majestic and all everything, or he can appear more timid and even shorter and smaller, or a woman or a man or somebody who's marginalized. He can appear, but it is up to us to recognize the face of Allah and to be able to heed when you see that face. He's just looking out after you, or watching, right? Watching. So, yeah, so we rode the bus. They even helped me try to get a cell phone. There was another line of people lined up to get those government phones that they give away for free. We were too anxious. I was too anxious to be standing in the line all day. So they said, okay, well, let's screw it, right? And it was at that point that I actually parted ways with them because it. Okay, sorry for the interruption. Um, yes, so to finish the story, part two, of my first time, right? I could have met, because like we all are from, like I said, we say that everybody on this earth has extraterrestrial counterparts, right? But again, it is the reasoning and the revelation that I have in meeting these extraterrestrials, the nature at which they came to me and helped me in such a way, just made me realize that they were not from this planet, because it's very clear, right? It's people from this planet and people that have lived in this planet for a very long time, they have different objectives, right? They have very much a different perspective. um, but what they were able to grant me, you guys, was this power, right? This ability. I'm so sorry, not power. Power is the fugaz, right? This is an ability. And the ability was at that time, I may have been carrying something of that, like, I don't even know if I can explain this part, because this is the very sensitive information, and I may have to actually keep this to myself. So that's what I will do. I will keep it to myself, because this is an ability that is only gifted and granted to very high supreme beings. And we are going to leave it at that. Is that okay with you? Are you okay with that? I hope that you're okay with that, because I really, as much as I explain, it's like the more I see, like, okay, well, now somebody's going to find a way. Somebody with a big brain is going to find a way to mess that up. So I will go ahead and not disclose that information right now. I hope that's okay. But again, I just wanted to share with you just like a low or a dark point in my life, that I was actually visited, right? Visited and nurtured and taken care of. And how that concept of helping one another and nurturing and taking care of one another continues till this day. This is not just a one-time experience, a one-time thing. This nature of wanting to hold people, and I shouldn't say hold people, but nurture people, right? Just take care of people, take care of your loved ones, especially if you see somebody going through a dark time, a difficult time. Definitely spend that time with the person to make sure that they feel loved and supported at all times. So that's my story. Again, this is quite a while ago that this happened. This wasn't a recent event. Of course, so many things have transpired and up until now. So again, I don't know how much time I'm going to be able to get on here and speak to you guys regularly. Like I said, I would love to come on and keep studying with you, but I feel like these topics, like these more hot button topics, a little bit more obscure topics, are of interest to some of you. And again, this is for the right people to listen and understand this information, instead of, just me talking just to talk, because I will do that too. And as much as I like reading the religious text, sometimes it does feel like airing dirty laundry a little bit, because our eyes are so opened now, and now we're aware of, like, the nature, right? But I will say the religious texts are religious for a reason. They're printed and copied and distributed to read for a reason. And what is that reason? It is because we are healing the generational trauma, that had happened generations ago, so we can become better people, and we can learn from our mistakes, and we can progress and move forward in such a beautiful and truthful and loving way, instead of having this dark cloud over us all the time, right? So I'll leave you with this. Again, the power, the mystic ability was the ability, flat, put it like that. The ability is a true ability, and it's a wonderful ability that we should take heed to. If I could tell you, I would tell you. Otherwise, I just don't want to mess it up. I don't want to be the person to speak and mess it up. So, but if you know, you know. If you know about this ability that I'm speaking about, you're aware that this is a real thing, and it's feasible, and it's, again, gift from God, right? Gift from God. God and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows this ability to manifest, because it's needed, right? It's needed in times of protection. It's needed in times of strife that we are in now, right? It's very, very important to realize this ability, and to, take care of everybody around us, right? Man, woman, child, cat, dog, mouse, rat, lizard, what have you. There are no enemies. I told everybody that this is our year to begin to trust one another, even if the people that we don't like are standing right in front of us. We trust them with the knowledge and the information that we are given, because why? We are in a new era, a new time, a new space, where we are to come together as one, and to celebrate each other and lift people up and love each other, not to attack one another, right? So that's the biggest message of it all, right? That's why I come and talk to you guys. That's why I read you these books and these tales and tell you these stories, because I trust you and I love you, and I want the best possible outcome, just like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants for you. I want that best possible outcome for you as well. So, God bless you guys. Thanks for listening to me. And I hope you have, sorry, soy sauce teeth. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Yeah, I'm feeling relaxed. I'm feeling great. God bless.